Let me paint a scenario. You're intermittent fasting, but you want to lose weight. So after you're done fasting, during your eating period, you also count your calories to try to restrict them a little bit to make sure that you are in a very aggressive deficit to get you to, well, your goal weight. Let me explain why you may want to make a couple of shifts to that thought process. I used to do that too, and it ended up resulting in, well, a pretty crashed metabolism. You see, you have to remember a very important thing that is super easy to forget. During your fasting period, your metabolism increases. It actually goes up while you are fasting. So during the time in which you are not eating, you are literally increasing your metabolism. But, and this is a big but, this only occurs if fasting remains the anomaly, if it remains the shock to the system. Now, what I'm getting at with this is when you get into the period of time in which you are eating, you need to eat ad libitum, and I'll explain what that means. After this video, I invite you to check out my friends over at Thrive Market. They're an online membership-based grocery store. They're who I use for most of my pantry staples and even for some of my meat and seafood nowadays. But make sure you check them out because you can get 25% off and also get a free gift when you use my link down below. They're a big sponsor and supporter of this channel. I am very appreciative of the offers they continue to provide to my viewers. It's super cool. And it ends up making it so much better than having to go to the grocery store. You don't have to get in the car, don't have to go to the store. A lot of times it's more economical because you're not spending gas money, you're not having to actually, it just makes sense. So check out Thrive Market down below in the description if you're doing any kind of dietary pattern that requires you to, well, be a little bit more conscious of what you're eating. So that link is down below. So when I say ad libitum, I just mean eat at will. I don't mean eat whatever you want, but I mean eat until you're full. Okay, do not, and I repeat, do not restrict calories consciously during your actual eating period. Your caloric restriction phase has already passed. You were fasting. Okay, that caloric restriction phase is gone. Now, one of the parts that might get confusing is, should you eat the amount of calories that you should eat for that day? So what I mean by that is, if you've calculated that you typically eat 2,000 calories per day, should you try to cram 2,000 calories into your eating window? Well, it's a little bit difficult to say. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. But you are much better off to just eat comfortably, not count calories there. Pay attention to what you eat, pay attention to the timing, pay attention to the specific kinds of foods, than you are to pay attention to the calories themselves. Okay, so when you are fasting, you have such an increase in adrenaline, such an increase in epinephrine, such an increase in even cortisol, that you are actually utilizing more fat as a fuel source. Plus, you have insulin levels that are low, your insulin glucagon ratio is low. So during that fasted period, calories in, calories out absolutely still matters and still applies, but the types of fuel in which you are using are generally going to be fats, which means you're getting the job done during that fasting period. If you restrict calories during your eating window, your body is going to get confused and it's going to not understand whether you are fasting or are you just doing like caloric restriction. Because if you are doing caloric restriction, that's going to trigger a problem. So I need you to look at it like this, okay? Very clear and defined, black and white. Fasting and feasting. Fasting and feasting. Okay? When you are in your eating period, you are not counting calories, but you are watching what you eat. You are eating good quality food because your body is going to be in a much more absorptive mode. But you are not, and I repeat, not counting calories, trying to get at a certain number, unless you're trying to go up and trying to manipulate muscle building. But we're talking about fat loss here. Okay, so get your benefit during that fast with the adrenaline spiking and your increase in RMR. There are studies that have demonstrated that because your body is in somewhat of a shocked state, you burn more calories during a fast than you would at rest, actually increasing your resting metabolic rate. Whereas if you look at all the old news out there and everything, they say, oh, whenever you fast, whenever you don't eat, your metabolism slows down to adjust to that. Your metabolism will slow down to adjust to a low-calorie diet. It's not going to slow down to adjust to a fast itself. The problem that people face is they fast too regularly and they don't eat enough during their actual eating period. So lean on your fast, and if you need to get yourself deeper into a deficit, which might be the case, do not do that by decreasing the amount of calories during your eating window. Do it by increasing the length of your fast 15 minutes at a time. And then once you've reached a tolerable upper amount of that, maybe 20, 22 hours, then start increasing ways that you can deepen your caloric deficit during your fast. Okay, how do you deepen a caloric deficit during a fast? Harder workouts, okay? I would always rather see you become more active and stimulate more lipolysis and stimulate more fat burning and stimulate more adrenaline during your fasting period and eat good amounts in your eating period than the opposite. I would much rather you do that than say, I'm gonna fast, but I'm gonna sit on the couch and then I'm going to eat a little bit of calories and try to decrease my caloric load during my actual eating period. So I hope this clears a lot of things up. There's a weed eater starting and I gotta finish this video before it gets loud. I'll see you tomorrow.